voices to hear.
Today I'm with Marko Gapo, and we are going to talk about a little his job in and his work in the national choir in Skopje, national opera and ballet. How do you call this?
Yes, the Macedonian opera and ballet. They changed it to national for reasons. I still call it the Macedonian opera and ballet.
The Macedonian opera and ballet. How did it start? Like, how did you get into this kind of choir thing? Like, did you do this before, or was it like an accident that you happened to be there?
Well, it wasn't an accident. I've been actually with choirs, singing in choirs way before I started in the opera and ballet. I actually don't remember a time in my life when I wasn't singing in a choir, because I think I have been singing in amateur choirs and professional choirs since elementary school.
Okay.
I remember when they had the audition, I was like 5th grade or something, and my grandma made me audition for the choir, and I didn't want to, but she pushed me to. So I finally went to the audition. And that was my first choir. I was like, I don't know, 12 or something.
Okay, and since the beginning you liked it?
Yeah, I really feel like I am somewhere where I belong when singing with an ensemble, performing. You get this kind of great collective energy.
Okay, nice.
Of multiple voices coming together and creating music. It's really amazing.
Okay, and what do you do exactly in choir singing? Like someone is telling you what to sing, or can you sing alone? And how do you train with the others? Do you always have to be in group? Do you have specific time in the week?
Usually every choir has its own conductor, especially if it's a large choir. If it's like 60, 40, 60, 80 people, there has to be one person to coordinate them, all of them.
Okay.
Because usually all of them.
Okay.
Because usually you need a large room to fit 60 people, and one part of the group sits in the other end, the other sits on the way opposite end, so they can't listen to each other, and there has to be one person in the middle that listens to everyone, so he can get them to synchronize. And usually choirs are split into voices. You have the male voices and the female voices, and then the male voices are split into basses, baritones and tenors, and the female voices are split into contraltos, altos and sopranos. So when we have rehearsals, usually because every voice group usually sings something different, has its own melody, so the conductor works separately with each group. For example, now the baritones, let's practice their line, their melody. Now let's practice with the sopranos, each one separately, and when each one learns their melody, gets good with it, we rehearse all together to see how it sounds. And it's the conductor's job to see if the tone is correct, if the melody is correct, if someone's making mistakes, if they need to correct some things, the conductor is also there to keep the tempo, so everyone sings at the same tempo, at the same rhythm, and so it goes.
What voice do you usually sing?
I sing baritone.
Baritones.
That's like the middle voice of male voices.
Okay, and was it always the case? Or did you change at some point?
I think it was always the case. Well, when I was a kid, when I sang in that choir, the separation between voices wasn't so professional, like basses, baritones. We just had like first voice, second voice, third voice. Usually in amateur choirs, it's like that. But since I started singing and studying classical music, my teacher, my professor classified me as a baritone.
Okay, nice. So you studied this?
Yes, after high school, I was quite lost as to what I was going to study in university. I was good at math, so I went to study IT and programming and computer code. But after 6 months there, I realized, like, what am I doing here? This is not for me. So I did a did a 360 or 180, how do you say? And
180, I think. Yeah.
probably. And went the completely opposite direction and enrolled into music university. And classical singing was the only option I could choose at the time because I wasn't good at any instrument. So I just jumped into this strange unknown world.
Okay. Do you play any instrument?
Yes, like semi-professionally, I play
Okay, nice. What type?
guitar and piano.
Okay, like a string instrument.
I guess you could call the
I
guitar
I think so. Yeah.
a string instrument.
Yeah, I think the piano is also a string instrument.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
I've heard that you have or you had a band that you played in.
True, you've heard well.
I did my research.
Where do you get this information?
Is it still the case?
Well, we haven't broken up, but we haven't also been active for the last 2 years. So.
Oh, okay. Is it something that you want to continue, or do you prefer to focus on your voice and on your choir job?
Working with a band is quite a different experience. I would never say I either do one or the other, focus on this or that, because they're, for me, very different experiences. Specifically with the band I was in, we were creating our own music, so that was for me the beautiful part of it, because we were creating something of our own, making our own sound, composing riffs and chords and rhythms together and lyrics. So it was more about creating, and also we got to go on a few tours. We played in Serbia, in Bulgaria, in Bosnia, Montenegro,
Okay,
in Greece.
You had a real experience of the group.
Yeah, we had lots of fun experiences, and performing on stage with a band is much more. Performing with a choir is also an energetic experience, but with a band it's more like kind of a more aggressive energy.
What would you say is the main difference between singing in a band on stage and singing in a choir in front of some people?
Well, when I sing in a choir, I usually just have to stay in tune and in sync with the rest of the choir, so we sound like one. And we usually sing a composition that's been written by someone else, and we follow the conductor. And it's usually much more kind of calmer, more elegant music. While in a band, in my band, I was the lead singer. So there was a lot more pressure on me. I felt a lot more stage fright when I went out of the stage, because I also had to talk and interact with the audience and hype up the audience, like yell something and then sing and then talk. And we had some stage choreography that we also did, so that our performance would look good as well as sound good. So I guess the performing with a band for me was much more intimate, much more close with the audience. While in choir singing, usually in classical music, you don't do stage dives, or you don't shout at the audience to yell or something.
From what I understand, there's less creative part in the choir part. Do you miss that?
I think both have creative parts, but in different ways. With the band, we were creating the music, but with the choir and in classical music, you interpret the music. So the music is written down, but how you interpret it falls on you. So you can give it something of your own style. Usually the conductor determines the style of the piece. It can be a beautiful piece, but if the choir doesn't perform it well, it can sound like shit. If everyone gives their maximum and the conductor knows what they're doing and knows how to perfectly balance the voices, the same piece can sound beautiful, majestic.
Do you think that you evolved since you started being in a national choir, compared to now? Do you feel like there's an evolution? Do you think that you've improved, and do you think it's something that you can continue?
Yes, I think with every rehearsal, every performance, you gain a little bit of more experience than you had previously. And compared to, I don't know, 10 years ago to now, some things that I maybe struggled with before now come to me naturally. Because I know even sometimes, because I've sang a lot of choir music, sometimes when I read the sheet music, I can predict what comes next because I can see the patterns in the music already. So it's easier for me now to read music and learn it faster, blend in with the voices. Because in choir singing, that's important to blend in, to not stand out, because you're not a soloist. You need to, everyone needs to blend in together so they sound uniform, they sound like one.
You've said that in choir there's some interpretation that you have to have. There are like a group of choir that inspire you, like for example when you maybe I'm sure that you've been to choir to listen to other people singing. Is there like one that was so good that you said, okay, maybe I should change a little bit what I do so I can be more like them because I appreciate them?
When I was in university we also had a choir there, the university choir, and with that choir I've had some of the best choir experiences. We went on tours we sang in France once.
Oh, really?
In Tours.
In Tours?
Yeah. Also in other places like Poland and Czech and Bulgaria.
Okay, nice.
We had some amazing experiences because, like, imagine 80 people going together with a bus, traveling 48 hours, spending so much time together, singing on a competition, sometimes even winning prizes.
Yeah, I can imagine. You won prizes?
Yeah, sometimes we won the first prize.
Oh.
And on these competitions and festivals, we sometimes listened to other choirs from different countries. And there were always some amazing ones that even when after we hear them, we sound inferior. You always, when you go to these competitions, you gain some perspective that you can always get better. There's always a better choir. There's always a better way of doing things. You can see how other conductors work, how other choir members from other countries behave during the rehearsal, how their relationship with the music. And yeah, you can definitely learn some new things in this way and implement them in your way of working.
Is there a difference between the different country, like the way they're singing? Like, for example, without knowing a country and just hearing them, can you guess what would be the country of origin of the choir?
I don't think I'm that good to differentiate just by listening, but maybe I can tell the difference between Slavic choirs and Western choirs.
Really?
Because they have quite different styles of singing. I've noticed that Western choirs, the singing is much more calm, collected, and accurate, like precise. While in Slavic choirs, I usually notice that it's much more open and like energetic, not so accurate, but not so precise. But it has its own different kind of interesting style that I think it also comes with the culture, the way people express themselves in choirs. So you can always see differences in the singing, and also they learn different techniques in, for example, Russian singing schools and Western singing schools. So you can notice this in the tone of the sound in the choirs.
What would you say is your most memorable choir experience in your life?
I would have to say it was with the university choir that I mentioned. We were in Poland in this town called Poznań. They hold a pretty famous choir competition festival there annually. And we performed with our choir a few Macedonian compositions written by old Macedonian composers. Beautiful pieces. On the stage, something amazing happened. I've never experienced this after that again. There was some kind of beautiful energy between all the choir members and a beautiful connection between the choir and the conductor. Like suddenly something elevated us while we were singing, and we immersed ourselves in the music so much. Some people were from the choir were having trouble singing because they wanted to cry.
Really?
Like literally tears. I also remember in that moment it was so good that I had trouble singing because I was trying to, my voice was breaking. I was on the edge of breaking down, and it was one of the most beautiful performances I've been a part of. And when we finished, the audience were applauding for like 5 minutes non-stop. And after we went out of the stage, we were all confused, like what just happened? What was that? Like, oh my God, what did we do?
It can give you strong emotion, apparently.
Yeah, there's some moment in art, in music, that when you achieve it, it becomes something bigger than you, something greater, something unexplainable. That when it happens, you're like, oh my God, this is it.
Is this why you like to sing? Because you know that you can have at one point such a connection with every people around you and with the music that you create something bigger than you.
Yeah, definitely, it's one of the main points I would make for singing in an ensemble or playing in an ensemble.
Let's say I want to be part of a choir. Is it too late for me?
No, it's not too late.
And how if I want to train, if I want to be part of this, how should I do?
Yeah, do you ever sing? Do you play instruments?
I don't play an instrument. I am not a singer. It's going to be difficult, but let's say I want to try. Or for anyone that wants to try.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of different choirs, and a lot of them are amateur ones, where you don't have to be a professional singer to join. You just have to pass audition where they test you if you have musical hearing, if you can hear pitch. Like, for example, the conductor will play a note for you, and you have to repeat the note, then play some scales and have you sing the scales just to check if you can recognize different pitch and sing what you hear. So most people that a little bit of musical hearing can join a choir. And choir is a learning experience. Like, you listen to what the conductor says and you just follow instructions, and you listen to the choir members sitting next to you. Maybe someone has been there for a longer time, so you also learn from them a bit. So you can definitely be a good choir member, even if you're not a professional musician. There are some very good amateur choirs also.
And how do you see your future? Is it something that you want to continue, or do you have any other plan in mind, or you just don't ask yourself the question?
I would like to sing in any choir probably for the rest of my life, but I don't know if I see my future in the opera and ballet, like if I would stay there forever.
Do you want to go out of the country?
Not really, but whatever I do, I want it to be something connected with creating, whether it be music or other types of art. That's what drives me, like creating stuff, leaving something behind, and something that I can be proud of.
Maybe, and you can do it if you want, but maybe to show us your warm-up when you are starting to sing. How do you warm up?
I'm on vacation.
I know that you need your voice to be a little prepared before singing, so that's why I'm not asking you to sing right away, but maybe you can just show the warm-up.
Yeah, it's I woke up an hour ago, so my voice is still sleeping. But usually when we do warm-ups in the choir, we start off by singing basic scales, like usually 3 tones, something like mi, and go up the scale, mi, and continue up and up and up and up, then go down, then sing bigger scales, then sing staccato, like more strong notes. And usually it's like a 10 minutes to 15 minutes warm up, so that everyone can wake up their voices. And if the conductor sometimes needs to balance the sound, sometimes they will give us like some chords to sing, tell us like you need to close your mouth more, open your mouth more to round the tone or open the tone more. These are always useful exercises so the choir members can be ready for when they are performing, to know what to do.
Do you have a favorite song that you like to sing?
I have a lot of favorite ones.
Yeah, maybe you
Most
can say.
of them are by Macedonian composers. I think there's some really good choir music, a cappella choir music by Macedonian composers, and some of them have been written like 50 years ago. But when I hear them, when I perform them, I just get chills all over my the hairs on my arms stand up every time.
Do you have some favorite composer, Macedonian? That's great that you can share.
Yeah, I can say a few, but
I mean, if
I
someone
don't think anyone who listens to this podcast knows them.
Oh, maybe if someone
Like,
is interested, they can check a few.
Yeah,
a
there's
few more.
Tomislav Zogravski, there's Todor Skalovski, this composer from Tetovo that has beautiful, energetic choir compositions. There's also Goce Kolarovsky, a few ones I'm struggling to remember right now.
No, it's
but
okay. We
yeah.
have 3 of them. It's
Yeah.
already a lot. I think we can stop here. Thank you for listening. That was Marko Gapo with Fahim.
Voices to hear.